And in time, gunners, you know, some man just get murdered right in front of me across road. Gunman shoot the man. As a turn off only the gunshot them. By the time for bail out of the car, only see him jump in our car. Turn go up half a tree road. Our food man the right of the market, so them kill him. And shoot one whole man there. So him lay down. He get couple shot man, almost a 7 shot near fire. Fast.
Welcome back to MyView TV, the people's platform, the home of undiluted news, reviews, updates, and your daily dose of entertainment. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, like, share, and subscribe.
I don't bring nobody forward in your cheer for me. Everything what you see happen, my natural talent. Let me tell you something. You see, when you know what to please the audience with, it's simple, me.
Be happy with the little that you have. There are people with nothing that still manage to smile. Very soon, you will smile and say, God, this is more than I've prayed for. Thank you. Wagwan, my people. Hope everybody doing okay. Hope everybody doing all right. Give thanks to life and the gathering. Hold on there now, people. Because I see where them are doing, you know. I see where them are doing, and I know some man don't see it. So make me walk on the eye. Election they right round the corner. So everybody will come and talk about them have crime plan. See it now, the big nose one, you understand? Come and tell the people them say watch out man, them a move to the second phase. So me can hear wagwan right there, so but I can just wheel off some of the news first. A lone ball in here up the road and round the road. Miss Marcia and another little girl dead. Them call her tape, but hold on there. Because I start with Miss Marcia first. You understand? Because balling, balling non-stop. A woman perished in a fire of unknown origin which blazed her house in Trelawney Saturday night. The deceased has been identified as 49-year-old Marcia Brady of Monty Hall in the parish. She was said to be suffering from mental illness. Report reaching our news team from residents that they saw fire coming from the concrete and wood structure which was occupied by Brady and called the fire brigade. Brady charred remains were discovered in the concrete bathroom after the fire brigade extinguished the blaze. The Trelawney police are investigating. I know so them a wonder wagwan, just like me. But hold on there now, people. Tia dead. Yes, Tia dead. Why is it that anytime people are about to go foreign, you hear say them dead? A bad mind, you know. Nothing but bad mind. Let me tell you about Tia now. A woman was shot dead last night at the home she shared with members of her extended family in Banbury District, Lindsay St. Catherine. She has been identified as 20-year-old Tia Tamara Ferron. Yeah, people, everybody know they understand. Because she will go up to the Claremont High School right up there, so. And people them know her. People them say watch her go on power go on. Them say them in them house and them hear something sound like gunshot because them know say nobody now walk pan them house tap and a beat no nail in another zinc. So that was shot. So by the time them go some woman go peeping at the kitchen. I tell that them sit on the ground lay down. Dead. And them also go further and says a man shoot her. That way our family member them were living at the house. And them see a man and make know say watch the man. Tia was about to go away. That's why them say if you look on the screen here, it's Tia picture people. I Tia that. Make sure son still look on the screen, you know. But I better want to see a smile orange and him kill her, you know. I don't want to run with the incorrect information. Remember the other day I come and I tell them, say, Shawnee boys, they make step go past Smith Lane and kill man. Yeah man, I him them the kill. But if you look on this brother, the brother know nothing about badness. Then call him crazy. You understand? Don't make the name fool you. Because he look crazy, but then call him crazy, you understand? And him, Shawnee boys them kill. But nobody worry yourself, people. Me say the man them I gotta avenge this or that. Yeah man, cause you don't know the thing already. Once you live in a bad people place and you're dead, the man them round there, I gotta take it up in a hand and go back up road, go slap her too. So don't need to worry. I'll have that news for you too. But before that, I'll go to some more news. Gone are the days of brotherly love. Watch her go on power go on now. A 24-year-old lifeguard from Catherine Mount St. James has been arrested and charged with murder of his 30-year-old brother. Charges the Lando Bailey is implicated in the death of his brother, Shane Bailey. Remember good, me on the talk about this already, you understand? But some couldn't know say, yo, he police them, charge him. Slap them, should have slapped him, but still. But well on there now, people. Right to that St. Elizabeth, you can't see the video, but you can listen to the audio. You understand? Kalba brother, take a knife and cut him and die short.
Kalba. That's what I see.
Anyways, more news. Sean Ricardo Goldberg, a Manchester man who allegedly shot and killed a senior citizen, was again remanded as he appeared in the St. Catherine Parish Court on September 26. Goldberg is charged in connection with the death of Errol Greene, 72-year-old of Christian Garden, Portmore, St. Catherine. The charge against Goldberg are murder, conspiracy to commit murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, and unauthorized possession of ammunition. When the case was mentioned on Tuesday, the clerk of court said that the Office of Director of Public Prosecution would be intervening to have the matter transferred to the High Court. The senior parish judge then ordered the accused to be remanded until the matter is again mentioned. It's alleged that about 2 p.m. on August 7, Greene was sitting on a veranda when he was approached by Goldberg, who brandished an handgun and shot him in the head and upper body. Goldberg then escaped in a waiting motor car. And guess what, one? Police them circle ends, pick up Errol body and carry down Spanish to the hospital, go put it on ice. An investigation was launched and Goldberg was arrested and subsequently charged. Go to police them waste time. Slap this a boy, did forget slap boy. Watch out go and power go on now. Manchester. Not Manchester United or Manchester City, Manchester, Jamaica. A construction worker of a Manchester address has been charged with breaches of Firearm Act after he was allegedly caught with a gun at a bar. Me know now say my view tell about this already, but they tell about me and tell you his name. Keep back and react, so me tell you his name now. The incident occurred during a waste-of-time operation between the police and the military. Yes, people. Charged in possession of a prohibited weapon is 26-year-old Oren Tomlins of Mango Grove District in the parish. Report from the Mandeville Police that about 10:50 p.m. a snap raid was carried out at a bar. Yes, people. During the operation, guess what? Them say the brother act in a manner that arose their suspicion. I mean, always tell the police them once they say boy you behave like that, give it to them. But me know una already, una never do that. One Beretta 9mm pistol was allegedly found inside a bag he was carrying. He was subsequently arrested and charged. His court date is made finalized. That is not where that is concerned. Clarendon now. A Clarendon man who pled guilty to possession of cocaine valued at $4 million was on Tuesday fined $1,300,000 in the St. Catherine Parish Court. 46-year-old laborer Nicholas Graham of Lionel Town admit to the charges of possession of cocaine and dealing in cocaine. The fine was paid by a female relative. Means that they have more cocaine, man. A big business that I'm going with. Before the fine was imposed, the court heard character evidence from a minister of religion on the behalf of Graham. The court heard that on July 15, 2019, members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Narcotics Division, was on operation along the Highway 2000 in St. Catherine when a BMW motor car driven by Graham was stopped by the area police them. So they decided to watch out, man. We're going to look up this vehicle here. A deep search of the vehicle was conducted and cocaine weighing 6 pounds and 3 ounces was discovered along with $300,000. Graham was arrested and charged with possession of cocaine and dealing in cocaine. Following the conclusion of the case in the parish court, I got for Graham asset them, including the money and in BMW. You understand? During the proceeding, his lawyer, King's Counsel, Ian Wilkinson, made a bail application. Graham was offered bail in the sum of $500,000 with surety. I remember good. Simple money that for me, understand, boy, I sell cocaine. A big business. But anyway, more news. Election, they're right round the corner. And listen to me keenly now. Me not tell nobody say them need to strain them ears and listen to this. But if you don't want to listen to it, fine. Okay?
We have come to internalize and accept trauma as normal. We have come to accept violence as a normal part of our culture and how we live. It is abnormal. The security forces have created within Central Kingston, within Parade Gardens, a certain level of security. We call this the clear. And then having cleared it, we intend to hold. And having held it for almost a year, we are now in the build phase. And the build phase is not just the physical infrastructure, it is also repairing the heart and soul of the community. One of the testimonials which touched my heart was of a young lady who pointed out that she was going through so much trauma, so much stress. And when Project Star was brought to her, one of the Project Star agents suggested that she should get counseling. And she rejected it at first, like many Jamaicans do. we have come to internalize and accept trauma as normal. We have come to accept violence as a normal part of our culture and how we live. It is abnormal. The level of violence that we have and that we inflict on each other, it is abnormal. And until we accept that, we will continue to have challenges with our society. Now, the good thing is that the young lady decided to accept the invitation to counseling. And her testimony is that counseling helped her to deal with the trauma that she was experiencing in her life. And if there is one message from the Project STAR experience that we would want to carry right across Jamaica, is that if you have a challenge, if you have personal problems, if you have social and emotional problems, mental challenges, talk to someone. And there are professionals, people who are trained, who can be of great assistance in this regard. And I want to commend Project STAR for bringing this kind of social intervention into inner city communities where trauma exists as a daily feature of person's existence. We have to show our people that the trauma, that the violence, that the aggression, it's not normal, it shouldn't be, and there is indeed another way. So the government's crime fighting strategy has been very tactile. It has focused heavily on investing in the police force and the military. It has invested heavily in technology and equipment, and it has invested heavily in the dynamic response of the security forces to ensure that we control spaces, that we control actors, and that we are able to interdict criminals and prosecute. That is half of the problem. The next phase of the government's crime fighting strategy is to treat with the center of the problem. And the center of the problem is the person. So we have to now invest heavily in our social support, our psychological and emotional support. We have to invest heavily in our crime prevention, in our youth involvement, in our community involvement. And you would have started to see the government making those kinds of investment in some of the interventions that we have been putting significant resources in for our young people, for psychological and social and emotional support. But we're going to take that a step further. We have had now for the last 2 years a committee that has been empaneled to develop a national strategy to deal with violence. And this is the National Commission for the Prevention of Violence, headed by Professor Sam Vaughan. And it is a whole of society effort where our persons who are skilled in this area, persons who are academics, and persons who understand this area have been working in a collaborative effort to look at all the interventions that the government already would have sponsored or would have effected, and to bring them together in a cohesive whole of government approach to treat with the other element of the challenge, and that is the violence, the social and socio-emotional interactions, those areas which we have not made a budgetary effort to treat with. So Project STAR could be considered as one element in this strategy. It is private sector led, it is government supported, it is not intended, and when these projects come on board, sometimes the recipients believe that these projects will be there forever. The private sector can't carry social projects forever, but their intervention is intended to fill gaps where they exist, to give immediate relief, and to find ways to integrate them into the government's program. And the government has to recognize this, that these roles, these public good roles, the private sector will play a role, but government ultimately must step up to the plate and have, because government has the infrastructure to do it, and government must do it. So Project Star is a good start and a good example. I encourage other members of the private sector who are not yet on board to come on board. I am relatively pleased with the progress of parade guards in particular and Central Kingston in general. You may not know, but I received many calls at the height of the gang war. Persons who would call to tell me they can't sleep, gunmen running through their yards, on top of their roofs, burning down their houses. People who were friends before all of a sudden became enemies. People who sat beside each other in school became enemies. The community was indeed dysfunctional. And as a government, we tried to figure out how do we respond quickly. And the call from the country was always to be send in the police or send in the military. Quite a bit of work has to be done to make the presence of the police and the military effective. The police can always come. The gunmen run off, or they blend into the community, or the very people in the community hide and protect them. So we developed, of course, the zone of special operations so that the presence is not intermittent. When the security presence is here, the criminal will have to figure out that they can't survive and last in the same space that the security forces have been mobilized in, because the security forces now own the space. And that is why the zones of special operation and the SOEs give that kind of long-term projection so that criminals have to rethink how they operate in a space. But the truth is that, we can't hold the space forever under security operations. That's not the solution. The solution is, while we have created the space, we have to get the parents to come out and take responsibility for their children, which is why I'm so pleased to hear about the efforts in parenting under Project Star. The schools have to come out and take responsibility for their students to ensure that every student is engaged. And that is why I'm very happy to see that Project Star is working with schools in the communities, whether it is a school feeding program or training youngsters to create that bridge between school and the world of work. And it is also important that the young people in the community, and forgive me if I'm going to be gender specific, to say the young men in particular, we have to focus on the young men, because it is the fact that over 90% of crimes are committed, especially murders and other serious crimes, are committed by males. And males are the predominant victims of crime in Jamaica. So there has to be, in the general policy, a specific focus on our young men, particularly those 16 to 24. And so I'm happy to see that Project Star has made some interventions. There were testimonials from young men who have gotten jobs and who at first were skeptical, as they always are very skeptical about these kinds of interventions. They're very suspicious. And some of them are also very cynical, because they don't believe that the opportunity that they will get will be more rewarding than a life of crime. So it is important that Project Star shows that these young men can have viable opportunities by pursuing formal means.